Hello, economic students. In this video, we are looking at answering terms of trade questions. And actually, when we're answering terms of trade questions, again, we can get a very nice structure and we can apply it to a range of different questions. And what may seem like a really tricky question actually might be broken down into a much more simple question. Here's to hoping. When we're looking at terms of trade questions, there's actually two types, two branches. You might get a question about, hey, what could be the cause of an increase or decrease in the terms of trade? What's driving a movement in the terms of trade? Or you might get asked a question about what would be the flow-on effect of an increase in the terms of trade. Now, in this video, we're just going to look at a cause question. Here it is. So you can pause this and have a look if you haven't done this in class with me. But it's to explain one factor, up to you, that may have led to the trend in the terms of trade over the past 2 years. And here's the terms of trade. We know it's increased. So up to you to pick one factor that may have led to the trend in the terms of trade. Now, important language here, may. That means you can just pick something theoretical. Could be import prices, even though that's not what's driving the terms of trade. Could be anything. But again, if you know it, why not use a contemporary factor? The aim of the game here is to impress the examiners, assessors, and for your paper to stand out. So where are the 3 marks? First of all, remember it's an explain question, so we've got to link a cause to an effect, just like in the last video, but we're linking a factor of our choosing to an increase in the terms of trade. So first thing we need to do is demonstrate an understanding of the factor. So whatever it is, overseas economic growth, a supply shock in the iron ore markets, geopolitical shock with Russia, whatever. Then you need to identify how this would impact the price of imports or exports, because that's what the terms of trade is. So I'd be going into a shift in the demand curve or a shift in the left of the supply curve, driving up prices. And then finally bringing it all back to the overall impact on the terms of trade and the trend in the graph. So there's the trend. Here's a sample answer that I wrote, something that I would read a lot of the time. It's correct, but it's a pretty low-level answer. So we've got, first of all, the factor. And when I say low-level, they've actually done everything here. So we can definitely improve on this, but they've done everything right. So the factor is overseas economic growth. Maybe they could do more there. They've said this will increase export prices. Yeah. And will increase the terms of trade as seen on the chart. We can definitely do better than this. So pause it and try and add in some stuff, some extra information here to get from like 1 or 2 to 2 or 3. All right, hopefully you did that, but this is what I've got. Well, first of all, I should have made that red, but first of all, you need to state that it's an increase in economic growth. Right? Some students make this mistake. It needs to be directional. And it's not just economic growth anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter what's happening in Botswana. Well, it does, but it doesn't impact our terms of trade. But it's growth in our major trading partners. So growth in trading partners like China, okay? And I think it's important to state the reason, because they're buying our exports. They're the ones that are going to drive up the price of our exports or down. Next, I'm sort of outlining how it would affect export prices or import prices, in this case, export prices. So this would increase demand in world markets for commodities that Australia exports, which would increase the export price. Finally, this increases the terms of trade from 100 in 2020 to 120 in 2022. That's a mouthful. So the last time, they didn't reference the chart. Pretty simple. So now we've got a 2 or a 3, but we can still do better. So have a think, what else could you do? All right, so what I've added now is I've become really specific, and remember, we're trying to impress the assessor. I've started to say something like, well, China is the major purchaser of our exports. And I talk about these all the time, whether you watch my videos, you're in my class, but coal and iron ore, our major exports. So remember, China, they use coal and iron ore to build roads and bridges and new buildings. And so when they grow, they demand iron ore and coal. So let's get that in there. Secondly, instead of just saying it increases demand in world markets, I've said that, iron ore and coal, they make up, or they hold a larger weight in the export price index. So if they go up, it's very likely the export price index is going to go up regardless of what happens to the rest. So this would increase the export price or export prices like iron ore and coal and the export price index. And then finally, all I've done in the last bit here is I've just added a little definition of the terms of trade. You could do better than that even, but it says increasing the term of trade, brackets, so you don't disrupt your flow, export prices divided by import prices. Now, you may not get all this stuff in, but if you can get little bits of these information, or little bits of this stuff into your writing, again, an answer that could have been a 2 becomes a 3, or if you make a little mistake somewhere else, you're likely to get over the line to a 2 or 3. Hopefully that helps. Bye for now.